Good morning, April 6, 2023. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. We do see the comments, but we will be going back to all the comments and questions right after this quick fast track update. We do see you, Maureen, Bhupinder, and Hayat. Thank you for joining us. We will circle back to the questions and comments right after this quick update. The latest IRCC immigration news and updates, including startup visa, EMPP, dual intent, the rural northern immigration pilot, special public policies, and the latest draws. All explained in simple terms, why you should care and who it can potentially affect. The raw truth and nothing but the truth. So help me, the Minister of Immigration of Canada. Hello, my name is Reza and I work with the Ingwe immigration team helping applicants move to Canada. Whether it's for yourself, your kids, your spouse, your business, or all of the above, we do make it happen. Are you tired of immigration companies or agents pushing one specific program down your throat without providing options based on your unique profile? Instead of them deciding for you, when working with us, you are in control of your own destiny. And the final decision is up to you, not us. Let me make this clear. I'm not an actual full-time YouTuber, but I work hands-on with our licensing, working on actual applications and communicating with the immigration departments and overseas embassies on a daily basis on behalf of our clients. These videos are made for the purpose of sharing our hands-on immigration knowledge with our audience. And if you're thinking about immigrating to Canada, well, we're here to help. You can get a free email assessment by filling out the form using the link below this video for eligible applicants. And reach out to us directly if you're an active immigration practitioner looking to collaborate or work. Here's the latest updates. There's a lot to cover, so please bear with me. And we cover a lot of items today. So PGWP extensions, postgraduate work permit extensions, which are for international students who've studied in an eligible institution, an eligible program, and can opt for an open work permit after graduation. As of March 17th, this past month, PGWP holders, which is that abbreviation for postgraduate work permit, who have permits expiring this year in 2023, will be eligible to extend for another 18 months. And this special public policy is also eligible for applicants whose permit is expiring and they have lost status. And even beyond the 90-day restoration period, they're allowed to restore, continue to work, and await their newly extended postgraduate work permit. Usually for restorations, you're not allowed to work and you only have 90 days after losing status to apply. But in this special case, they are giving permission for everyone to apply that meets the eligibility. Remember, you will receive an automatic email from IRCC to your GC key portal. The email contact stated when you did apply for your postgraduate work permit online. So if you don't have access to it, maybe your representative has it, make sure you reach out to them if you believe you should be getting invited this year for that. The extensions of the IRCC public policy allowing certain visitors inside Canada to apply for a closed work permit from inside Canada. So basically this policy was introduced during COVID in 2020 and now has been extended up to February of 2025. So another 2 years. All it does is people who are inside Canada with a visitor visa can apply online for a closed work permit, which means not an open work permit, and then a work permit that has the employer stated on it. That's what we call the closed work permit. So instead of them flagpoling or exiting and re-entering the country, they're allowed to apply for the work permit if they have a genuine offer of employment from a company inside of Canada and they meet the eligibility criteria. So all they do is apply online, use this policy. But this does not mean that people can just apply for open work permit if they don't meet the LMIA exempt work permit eligibility criteria for other programs, such as spousal open, postgraduate work permits, or special policies for Ukrainians and Iranians. So remember, folks, this is just a policy that if you are a visitor inside Canada and you do have an offer of employment, you can apply from inside Canada, and you do not need to flagpole or exit and re-enter the country. Let's look at some recent case law with startup visa. Well, there was a recent case published in March regarding a startup visa work permit application which was refused by IRCC Overseas Processing Center for Iranian nationals, but had a successful judicial review, was granted leave, and the federal court judge sided with the applicants and asked IRCC to reprocess the application with the legal framework that was explained in the specific case. As of today, we're still waiting for a successful judicial review case for permanent residency under the Canadian Startup Visa Program. Although work permit refusal cases have been shut down hard by federal court judges when they've seen that RCC has used very frivolous or illogical refusal reasons, making an error in law outside of the framework that they're allowed to make a decision. But so far, for PR routes under the startup visa, we have not seen any successful cases in federal court, and that still remains to be seen. Startup visa update. There's a lot of talk about the startup visa program heating up again in overseas markets, with the Portuguese golden visa for residential properties closing down, and a lot of rumors of higher approval rates and faster processing times for Canadian startup visa program. We're waiting for validation on this rumor, as our own office has over 20 startup groups who are now under review by RCC, and we expect a PR decision within the next 1 to 4 months for these 20 groups, and we will know by the end of this June if higher approval rates are in fact true or not. And the faster processing times we're already seeing, as there's more processing centers across the country in Canada processing PR applications for startup visa beyond Sydney, Nova Scotia. This has led to faster processing, and we expect all 2021 cases to be processed by the second half of this year. We expect the processing times of all new startup visa applicants to be an average of 1.5 years instead of the typical 32 to 34 months, which has been published on the IRCC website. And stay tuned for our upcoming startup visa webinar scheduled on April 27th, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, where a designated organization which has an incubator, angel investor, and also represent venture capital will be presenting updated facts and figures and more details. More startup visa news will also be coming on our social media channels and upcoming videos in the coming weeks. IRCC has extended the Hong Kong policy for the open work permit, which has been extended until February 7th for Hong Kong nationals to be able to opt for an open work permit to come inside Canada. The eligibility criteria has changed. So previously it was 5 years. People who had graduated from an eligible educational credential within the last 5 years were eligible, but now it's within the last 10 years. So a lot more people are eligible. Plus, COVID-19 and travel restrictions have been removed. Express entry draws. We started at 507 this year in January for general drops. It dropped to 490 general draw, 489, 490 again, 484, and the latest one is 481. It's yet to be seen if we will see a drop below 480 in the month of April. These were all general draws besides the provincial nominee draws. There's 234,947 active express entry profiles in the pool waiting to be invited for PR to Canada if they meet the minimum threshold, which many people don't. BC PNP updated draws. Previously, BC PNP employers' eligibility inside Vancouver required 5 equivalent full-time Canadian staff, but now they're flexible, and if the 5 working staff is a combination of Canadians and temporary foreign workers, the PNP will allow them, and they will be eligible to sponsor skilled immigrants and temporary foreign workers from outside through the provincial nominee program, which is LMIA exempt. As of April 4th, the BC PNP general draw for skilled immigrants was 103 points for skilled immigration, 106 for international graduates, and 85 for entry-level semi-skilled workers. The latest tech occupations drop was 85 and even reached 82 in March, the lowest we've seen this year. Reduce minimum thresholds for occupations such as veterinarians, animal health technologists and technicians, early childhood educators and assistants, as well as a full list of healthcare related occupations, all having a draw of 60 points, which is the lowest of any occupation or category in the BC PNP draws, which allows a lot of these specialized occupations to be invited for permanent residency plus work permit through the PNP program. The BC PNP significant investment projects mechanism there has also introduced Lulemon staff to a stream, making them all LMI exempt. The investment project stream, which BC has, as long as they have a provincial letter of support for a very large significant project, then the staff that will come under that project will be LMI exempt. Let's look at the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program. The ministerial instructions were updated, and this pilot was introduced in 2019 for rural communities across Canada. There were 7 new communities added in Ontario, Sudbury, North Bay, Thunder Bay, Timmins, and Moose Jaw in Saskatchewan, and 2 communities in BC, including West Kootenays and Vernon, which we work with quite closely. The participation of these communities obviously will all be ending by the end of 2024 when the pilot is meant to expire. However, if the program is successful, IRCC can extend this pilot further beyond next year and even make it a permanent program, because most programs start as a pilot and eventually transition to permanency if they're successful. Expanding the occupations to healthcare professionals with specific work experience, and if a foreigner has received a job offer from a business that they own 50% or more, they're not eligible. But if they own less than 50% of the business in these rural communities that has offered them a job and they meet the minimum eligibility criteria of this genuine job offer, that can be accepted, which gives you a lot of ideas, right? You can invest in a business and potentially create a job offer for yourself. Reducing the minimum settlement funds under the specific rural and northern immigration pilot program, and now it has one of the lowest settlement funds of any skilled immigration program across Canada, right? So this means that basically you only require, as a single adult, 2,274 or 2,587 Canadian dollars or $2,827.25, if depending on the community you're participating and the size and the location. And of course, that will be increased depending on your family size. However, it's only 12.5% of the minimum income level that has been published on the IRCC website. So this is the lowest of any program, except maybe the EMP. Remember that for the rural northern immigration pilot, you will need 1 year work experience in the past 3 years in the specific NOC code where the job offer is being issued, unless you're an international student who's graduated from the local community. Exceptions to this work experience are also related to work experiences for healthcare workers such as nurses and patient service associates and home support workers, NOC codes 33102 and 44101. And basically it means that if they worked in another NOC code and they don't have that exact NOC code work experience, they can be exempt and still eligible under the Rural Northern Immigration Pilot Program. Temporary public policy issued by the IRCC to support Iranian nationals inside Canada. As many of you know, the recent policy on March 1st was introduced for Iranian nationals who are inside Canada with an Iranian passport and valid status can apply for an open work permit. It's usually processed within 2 to 4 weeks, and they receive a 3-year open work permit. You have to be inside Canada, and you can be a visitor, a student, or a worker. So that's interesting policy, similar to the Ukrainian policy that was published, but in a little bit in a different light. But it allows Iranian nationals inside the country to convert to a work permit. Let's look at the IRCC dual intent updates and clarifications. So there's been a lot of court cases, a lot of challenges to the dual intent and refusals based on dual intent. So IRCC has updated and retrained their staff to deal with these new challenges. And basically it all comes to subsection 22.2 of the Immigration Refugee Protection Act in terms of recognizing that two intentions involved are complementary and not contradictory. And this is what a lot of officers, especially in the visa posts, are making mistakes on. So this is what they're saying. In assessing the application for temporary residence, an officer may consider, among other factors, the following: the length of time that the client will be spending in Canada, means of support, obligations and ties to the home country, the purpose and context of the stay, the credibility of the documents and the information submitted in the application, and past compliance requirements in terms of their visitor status, student or worker, or previous applications, right? Applicants have the right to have a fair and impartial decision making. The courts have indicated that it is necessary to avoid even the possibility or perception of bias, examples which include judging a matter before it's heard, prejudicial attitude. Examples of bias would include the belief that applicants with open, closed, or prospective permanent residence applications automatically have a desire to remain in Canada past the authorized period of stay. And this is why a lot of officers were using that against applicants, but now the courts have struck down. And IRCC is coming back, updating their instructions to officers and retraining them. So if they do want to refuse, they do need to be very careful, which means that many applicants from both inside and outside of Canada who are applying for temporary residency while they have a permanent residency application in process can be given the benefit of the doubt. With spouses and partners, the instructions state that officers should consider the individual circumstances of the applicant who is seeking to join their spouse or common law partner who is already residing in Canada. And you know, if you've been in this case, you know that a lot of spouses have been refused for visitor visa just to join their spouse overseas, although they're married, right? Factors to consider include, but are not limited to, whether a sponsorship application has been approved, whether an application for permanent residency is proceeding towards approval, the applicant's ongoing ties in their home country, and the result of being without status in Canada, for example, if they're inside Canada, inability to work, inability to study, no access to healthcare, risk of being deported, and so forth. Dual intent should be mentioned if it was considered as part of the decision and the application, with an explanation as to why the officer was not satisfied in the balance of probabilities that the applicant will leave Canada at the end of the authorized stay. So this is good news for applicants with dual intent. Remember, you have a PR application process, but you want to come and visit, study, or work while your PR application is under process. You will be given the benefit of the doubt, but you do need to make sure the application is properly done. Oh. Are we online with... Can somebody give me a thumbs up if we're on YouTube right now? If everyone can see us or no? Because that may have been an issue. Hold on, folks. Give me a thumbs up if you can't see us on YouTube right now. I'm just double checking here. If not, then that's a huge issue. Hold on, folks. If you're watching this recording later, don't mind me right now. I'm just checking to make sure our YouTube folks are there. Hold on. Need validation here. Oh, okay, good. Thank you. Appreciate it. I was about to lose my cool there. And then the latest update, EMP program update. If you don't know what the EMP was or what the minister announced, it's the Economic Mobility Pathway Program, also known as EMPP. It was a small research project started in 2018 in phase 1, rolled out by phase 2 of last year, and there's a target of combining or matching 2,000 skilled refugees, identified refugees or displaced persons overseas to sell in Canada based on an offer of employment by a Canadian company through a provincial nominee program. So what they've announced is that now they're introducing a new federal pathway for the EMP to bypass the provincial nominee quotas to allow refugees to be sponsored by companies who require those specific skills. There's, as of October 2022, there's 100 successful cases that have been ongoing. And what the government is doing in this, with this program, is trying to fill the labor crunch or address it in certain ways, and at the same time allow displaced persons and identified refugees from overseas, conventional refugees, to be able to come and settle in Canada. So it's a win-win. And here's a quick reminder to everyone. Yes, our office does assist with immigration matters, whether it's for yourself, your family, friends, your business, or even for your own clients. If you're an immigration agent, consultant, or lawyer, you can reach out to our office anytime. And if you're thinking about immigrating to Canada, well, we're here to help. And as you may all know, I only have one thing to confirm. You will clearly know what to expect, all the costs and risks identified, and our legal agreements never take 100% advance payment for any business immigration cases or anything that involves large amounts of money. And if you're looking for reliable service, our team speaks over 9 languages. We help people from over 49 different countries. We have a $1 million liability insurance which protects you and us from fraud and mistakes. And of course, you can book a one-on-one consultation with me or any of my licensed team members using the link below this video. And we're here every Thursday, like we are today, to answer your questions live on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. But unfortunately, we only see the YouTube comments and questions. So if you're on Facebook or Instagram, you gotta hop on to YouTube to ask your questions. And that's what we're gonna do right now. And we're here every Thursday. So again, next Thursday and the week after and the week after, we've dedicated this 1 hour to go over updated programs, explaining immigration to Canada, and answering the questions. So now we're gonna jump in. Lots happening. Yeah, I see everyone on on the system right now. So let's say hello to everyone. Go down the list, and you will of course be able to answer your questions. Hayat Khan, hello Hayat, how are you doing? Good to see you. Stingle, 15 years. Okay, good, good. Bhupinder, good morning. Reza, good evening. Bhupinder, good to see you again. How is it? How's everyone's spring so far? Weather is getting a little bit nicer besides the ice storm in Montreal, which put 1 million people without power. Besides that, Toronto's doing quite well, and so is Vancouver. Maureen, yes, thank you for joining us today from BC at a very early time, 8 Eastern Pacific time. Varsha Mashe, good morning. Amir Shikari, hello. Amir and Nasrin. Rosita Ibrahimi, hello. Reza June, hello back. Rosita. MP Nisha Pandey, hello Reza sir. How are you? Good to see you again. I have applied for my closed work permit on the 3rd of November 2022 from Kuwait. May I know when I can expect my confirmation of visa? Yeah, MP Nisha, I mean, I got a list. If we have the top 3 worst embassies, Canadian embassies overseas, I can say cool. I can say that the Abu Dhabi embassy and the GCC and Poland are definitely in the top 3. You can expect anywhere up to 6 months. It can take longer from GCC. Other countries we're seeing 2 to 4 month processing times, but for GCC, for whatever reasons going on in those embassies, I guess they're just overcrowded. It takes much longer. Fatima Azavia. Hi Reza, my husband is in Turkey, but not from the region of the earthquake. My application was submitted on August 2022 in Ankara Visa Processing Center office. Do you know more details about that specific office? No, unfortunately, I don't have any specific details on what's going on with that specific visa processing center. Are they expediting only the earthquake region applications or Turkey in general? My husband's nationality is Iraqi. Well, yeah, basically the earthquake hit regions are priority, Fatima, right? So what happens is they'll process those first and then they will look at that. We do have applications for our own Turkish clients who are waiting, whether they're LMI exempt work permits or regular work permits, and usually you can expect at least 4 to 5 months processing time. August 2022 to now, there's definitely something wrong. I would reach out to the visa processing center. So in Ankara, send them an email directly and web form, and just mention that August 2022 and it's gone beyond the standard processing time. So make sure you check the processing times on the IRCC website for your specific application and region. And if your husband is Iraqi, he's applying from a program, right? Even with the UK startup visa, which has about a 65% approval rate, Canada's is the same. We do expect increased approval rates. However, keep in mind, it depends on your startup group. It depends on your activity, your startup. Is it innovative, scalable? Has it economic benefit for Canada? Are you proactive? Is everyone proactive in the startup group? Or at least most of you, right? How many essential members do you have? Do they have the work experience or education or combination of those to be able to perform their duties in that startup and the positions that have been offered to them, right? So there's a lot of factors. So yes, you can be approved for your PR, but you have to have the right dynamics, the variables within your startup, right? What kind of support are you getting from your designated organization? Are you updating IRCC every 6 months? Are you updating and connecting with your incubator, angel investor, or venture capital every 3 to 4 months to give them an update? You've got to be proactive, not passive. Ekeneshi Ushe, please sir, I applied for visitor visa from Nigeria in August, but still process. What is the cause, sir? Nothing. Again, Nigeria is also, and the processing center in Ghana, these are all very slow as they're processing multiple countries. All I would say is if you do have family or immediate relatives in Canada, for them to check with a local MP. If you don't, I would say push through the embassy and web forms. Worst case, after 8 months, I just give up and just reapply. And that's what I recommend to a lot of clients. Hey, it's their fault. You just reapply. Sohrab Ruzbe, hi Reza. Considering 21,000, no program in 1 month, do you think that next week is going to have another 7,000 all program draws? Considering my point 478, you think it's better to wait or apply for OMP? If you had 478, you're almost there, Sohrab. I would have a plan B in place, but you're there. I would say in the next 6 months, you've got, I was actually just talking to somebody else as well. We were doing some client consultation. They were like 476, 471. So if you're in the 470s, you do have a chance. If you're in the high 470s, I think there is a realistic chance. There's no guarantee, but I'm going to be trying to do an estimate on the next draws, the general draws, and not the occupation specific draws or CEC specific draws. And everyone knows we haven't seen any CEC draws, but Sohrab, I assume you're on the federal skilled worker category. 478 is perfect. Just make sure you've got all your documents in order. If you get an ITA, you accept it, answer the questionnaire, get the customized document checklist, and then you've got a specific time period to upload original scans, like scans of original documents. Remember, do not scan photocopies of original documents. You will be refused, but 478 is a good number. I'm putting my money on you, Sohrab. Okay? If this was a race, I'd have my money on you. Okay? We'll see you in 6 to 8 months in Canada. Ugona Ebi, hello Reza, good to see you. Good to see you, Ugona. Thank you for joining us. If you're joining us and you're wondering what's this guy talking about, I'm going through the YouTube comments and questions, and we're just interacting live with our audience, and that's what we're here every Thursday to do. Ekeneshi Ushe, I am a Konica Minolta BizHub technician from Nigeria. Nice. I actually used those printers, multifunction devices in my previous office at Ekeneshi, so I am very well aware of the systems that you probably repair or maintain. Shreyank Amartya, nice. I thought I wasn't able to pronounce it correctly, but I think I got it 90% right. I hope so. Does being essential, non-essential have a bearing on the start of visa application approval? It's okay. So you're a non-essential member of a startup group. It depends on your criteria, right? So being non-essential makes it easier for the officer to refuse you without having to refuse the whole group, which makes it easier to refuse, right? But if you do meet the criteria of the position you've been offered, if you do have the expertise, whether you're CIO, COO, CTO, whatever it is, and related to that industry, and you've got the expertise there, and your group is proactive, there should be no reason to refuse. But if you're a non-essential member and you don't have the skills, the work experience, the education for that position, and you haven't shown your proactive role in the startup, it makes the officer sort of be like, yeah, I can refuse you, and the rest of the group is fine. It's a weaker chance of approval or higher. It really depends on the quality of the applicant. As I always said, startup visa is all about human capital and being proactive in the group, having traction. Varsha Mahe, my husband applied for PR under family sponsorship in October 6, 2022. My biometrics and medical have updated in December 29th. No more updates till now. Should I wait? It's frustrating. Yes, typically the processing time is around 12 months. We usually see much faster processing, but depending on where the application is, and I'm assuming it's from outside of Canada, some processing centers are slow. Middle East especially, okay? India is not bad, but you gotta give it 12 months before you raise a concern with your local MP if you're inside Canada yourself as a Canadian. Amir Shikari, education from Ontario and BC University and colleges lead to PR. Education from Ontario and BC University and college leads to PR. Well, not every, no, Amir. It's only the postgraduate designated programs in BC that have a direct access to direct PR without the points or draws or job offer or work experience. So they have over, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 programs that the BCP provincial office has designated, which are all postgraduate, like masters and PhD in STEM. So, sciences, mathematics, engineering, these sort of educational programs. If you study those and graduate, you can apply for direct nomination for PR, but not like colleges or anything. And it doesn't mean that every program or college or university is eligible. Look at the list on the provincial office. They will have the full list. Fatima, my husband's medical and criminality are already completed in November. He's a PhD graduate. I have contacted my MP. They told him her applicant is still within standard 16-month processing time. Oof. Yeah, Fatima, when they're within 16 months, it just means that you can't do anything. It's frustrating, I know, and here, I mean, unfortunately, that's the bad news. If it's 16 months processing time for that region, for that work permit, then you're just stuck. There's literally not much you can do. Maybe you can send an email to the embassy, kind of, explain your situation and asking for some, human touch, maybe some compassion. Ekeneshi Ushe, thanks you, sir, no problem. Amir Shikari, how can I find out from which university leads to PR without job offer? It's on the BC Provincial Nominee Program website. So go to the international postgraduate stream. They have eligible schools like universities and programs. So you look at those, you come through those, you graduate, you apply through the BC Provincial Nominee Program, no job offer, no work experience, no points, direct PR. Fatima Azawaya, is the processing time 6 months or 16 for spousal? It's typically within 12 months, but we can double check. We see much better processing times, right? Typically for spousal. These are, let me just check what the latest is. Let's see, folks. Yeah, 16 months. I guess they're overloaded, Fatima. It's 16 months, but most of our cases have been processed even through Turkey, like 8 to 12 months, right? So I would say 12 months, you should definitely see something. 16 months is like their average time now, because they're definitely falling behind in family sponsorship, because previously it was 12 months. But most of the cases that we've done that were processed through Ankara, we've had, 8 to 12 months average time for processing. So just so you're aware. Ravi G, April 6th open work permit extension for PGWP is open yet? Yeah, I mean, if your postgraduate work permit is expiring this year, you could be eligible for an extension for 18 months. You will receive an invitation letter through the contact information in your GCK portal or your representative's portal. Okay, so that's how you apply. Sohrab Ruzbe, thanks Reza. Yes, I'm under FSW. Needed the hope. Yeah, 478 is good. No guarantees. I don't have a crystal ball, but you're there. Ekeneshi Ushe, please. So how can I get a company to employ me as a technician in Canada? You've got to send your resume. See what, because a Minolta specific company, I guess it may not be a very high chance of getting them to hire you. But if you've got technical skills, then there is a possibility. Samvir Kamur, hello Reza. What is the chance of SUV? I think I answered that already, Samvir, just a few minutes ago. Your question, right? Varsha Mahe, what about Sydney Processing Center? Because my file is there. Is it slow or average? Varsha, what were you looking at right now? My husband applied for PR file. Yeah, it's Sydney, right? That's where a lot of the family sponsorships overseas, and most of them are done before they're sent to the overseas embassy for the final touches. But that they're within processing times. Is it slow or average? It's average. It's not much slower. It's just within average, and that's the largest processing center for family sponsorship, because they've added and expanded in Sydney for that specific category of immigration. Sohrab Ruzbe, another question is, what are the documents needed as proof of experience? Some of my experiences are in Malaysia, some in Iran, and some while doing military service as well part-time work. Employment contract, pay stubs, employment reference letters. And if you have any income taxes where like a T4 in Canada shows your employer where you've been getting salary for that previous year. I know Iran, we don't have that. Malaysia, I'm not sure. But yeah, so pay stubs, employment reference letter is paramount. Employment contract and pay stubs as much as you can, because you've got to prove those 3 years, 2 years, whatever amount of years that you're claiming. Angel, can an SUV PR applicant, an essential member, apply for visitor visa? Yes, Angel, but Angel, weren't the theoretical case that you're talking about, weren't they refused for a work permit? Be very careful. I would still go with the work permit rather than the visitor visa. But yes, a lot of our clients actually from Southeast Asia have come on visitor visas, although they have startup visa, PR applications in place, and no work permits. So yes, possible, but each case is specific and unique to its own circumstances. Consider that before you apply. Somveer, how much time visa officer will take biometrics for SUV program? How much? It's the biometrics. It does right now. It's all over the place, Somveer. So if you've done an updated biometric and they're processing it, you've got a permanent file number, right? I assume you do, and your file has been under review. Within 3 months, if you don't prolong the submitting all your documents and information, within 3 months you should have a decision. But again, that's only if you've got a permanent file number. Maureen Boy, our 35-year-old friend applied for visitor visa but was refused. Yes, that's Kurd from Iraq, owns his own home, traveled in Africa, Western Europe and US, UK, Masters of Science, but bus owner has family and funds. Okay, Maureen. Welcome to the reality of Canadian visitor visas. They are very biased. So however unbiased we are inside Canada, the embassies have specific quotas. They have specific biases, and that this is all internal, like a black box. My advice, because I know in Iraq and Kurds, sometimes it's difficult for them to prove their title of ownership, but if they do, they have previous travel history to, let's say, Western Europe and US in the last 3 years, not 10, 15 years ago, then I would say, first step, no matter who's going to handle it. First step, request the refusal notes. The global case management system notes right now, if you go through CBSA, I believe you can get it through 3 to 4 weeks, okay? Second, after you have the refusal note, if it's bogus and they made a blatant mistake, you can ask for reconsideration by email. But if not, you can do a reapplication. But in the second reapplication, you've got to be ready for judicial review. So what you do is you reverse engineer the second application, if you're resubmitting it for visitor visa, to take it to court and request judicial review because you believe that there was an error in law when they refused your friend's visitor visa application, considering his ties to his home country and his travel history. Okay, I know it sounds ridiculous to go through all that for a simple visitor visa, but welcome to Canada. That's what it takes, especially from high refusal regions. And folks, here's a pop quiz. What are the high refusal regions in the world? Iraq, Lebanon, Syria, Iran at certain times, not now, Cuba, Venezuela, right? Certain African countries, certain South Asian countries, right? This is the reality, right? And if you want to come, and if your friend does want to come and sort of break that that refusal, that's the standard way of handling it. There's no quick solution, there's no shortcut, and it's the grind. That's what we call it, the grind. You got to grind through this government bureaucracy and this bias that's infested in these embassies, right? And that's how you have to handle it. If he's set in coming with a visitor visa, that's what I would do. That would be my suggestion, and I think that's the standard suggestion you would receive from anyone who's practicing in this industry. So I hope I've given some insight, although it may not have been the solution or answer you've been looking for. It is the reality. And as Donald Trump says, reality, right? Not his reality, I'm just joking. Ugo Nayabi. Reza, please, how long does it take to get an LMIA processing time? My spouse will get a job offer next week. LMIAs can be processed within 60 days. So that means 30 days advertisement, 30 days processing time. Each occupation is different. If it's high wage, low wage, caregiver, agriculture, right? So roughly, with advertisement, because in agriculture you're advertisement exempt. But if you do need to advertise, look at around 60 days. Your employer has to prepare their advertisement, job description, knock code, all that. Another 15 days, 10 days a week, right? And then they apply with the new your spouse will apply for a work permit as soon as the LMIA is issued. If it's a no-name LMIA, you will have to link that no-name to your spouse, okay? That will take a few days over email. If it's an LMIA-based work permit, then immediately your spouse can use that to apply for an open work permit online, whether they're inside or outside Canada. And if your employers need help, or if anybody needs help, let us know. We do 3-4 LMIAs a week, okay? Fact check. Fatima, I have a PR tracker account linked to the principal account, but they say GCK is more detailed tracker. Does my representative lose access to my file if I sign up for a GCK account? It can only be linked to one account, right? So they may lose it, but there's the new tracker, as you said, that's new. So we haven't tested that out in terms of whether your rep will lose it. But if you create a new GCK account and link it, there is a potential, but you can do that and then give access to your rep, right? So it's a win-win. That's what I would do, Fatima. A lot of clients ask us to do that when we do it. Ria Sharma, I applied for a visitor visa 3 months before. Current processing times is from India, shows 25 days, but my visa is still undecided. What should I do? Ria, the 25 days thing, it's BS. You can see anywhere from visitor visas can take 2 weeks to 4 months from India. Okay, Delhi. There you go. Ekeneshi Ushe, please sir, can I have your WhatsApp number so I can chat you, sir? I don't have WhatsApp, folks. Ekeneshi, I don't believe in WhatsApp. Okay, no bias there. But yeah, I mean, Ekeneshi, I don't know. In terms of finding a job, obviously we're not a recruitment firm. But if you go out there and apply, and if you do need immigration advice, we're here to help. Ravi G, thank you, sir, no problem. Somvir, yes, I got a permanent file number 2 weeks ago. Okay, Somvir, you got 2 weeks ago. In the next 3 to 4 to 5 months, you're going to get a decision depending on the speed of your group members submitting the request for information that you guys will receive in the next few months. Okay, so I assume your file is from 2020 or 2021. You will receive a decision this year, and it means in the next couple of months you will receive a request for information from one of the processing centers around Canada, and you, as soon as you submit, a few months later you will have a decision. Sabri 7, hi Sabri. Hi, thanks for your positive energy during live. Yeah, I try for TRV with rejection history. Will a letter by citizen company knows the applicant help to have a better result? If yes, what kind of letter should it be? TRV, you need to provide more specific, Sabri. Is it a study permit? Is it a visitor visa? Is it a work permit? Is it from outside Canada? I assume so. And when was it refused? Were they single? I wanna validate, because I know your nationality, I know where you're applying from. I want to get specifics, and then I can guide you for sure. Ugonaibi, Reza, please, is Kuwait a high refusal area? GCC is a high refusal area, Ugona. They will check that you're a temporary status, and then they will look at your ties to your home country. And if you don't have properties and a whole bunch of ties, financial, family back in your home country, they will refuse you. That's how GCC refuses expats. And as we know, 99% of expats want to leave GCC eventually. Not all, but most. Jonathan Robidas, hi, I'm a Canadian. I'm about to meet an American girl for the first time. Okay, does she need a visitor visa now if our end game goal is for her to get a PR once she has been around 12 months so I can sponsor her? Okay, Jonathan, here's your options. There's two types of sponsorship, right? It's either for spouses or common law, right? Spouses means you need a marriage license. If you live together under one roof, then it's common law. You probably already know this. An American girl, obviously, she can come into the country anytime. The key is you can extend, if you don't have a marriage license and you're not planning to, she comes in or you go there, whatever you prefer. You guys live under one roof, same ID, same address, joint bank accounts, maybe some life insurance, who knows, right? Make it look good. And after 12 months, you will be eligible to sponsor her as a common law. Whether you're outside of Canada, planning to return to Canada, or if she came in and she lived with you inside, she cannot work while she's on a visitor visa. Okay, so what you can do is just renew her status every 6 months, because she will be able to stay 6 months potentially on her entry, and then you just renew it from inside, and then you meet the 12 months living together, common law, no work. Then you apply for the sponsorship for a PR, and she will also be eligible for a work permit, and usually within 2 to 3 months she can also get that work permit. And this is the future, because I assume you're not living together yet, but that's the way to go. If you have a marriage license, you can apply on the spot. Okay, so as long as you justify the relationship, okay, remember, balance of probabilities, were there family in the event? What did you guys do? Do you have pictures, proof? How did the relationship develop? So be careful with that. So I hope I've answered. Otherwise, send me a follow-up question. Maureen Boy, I'm wondering if there's a chance to try again. Yes, Maureen, but don't just try again without getting the refusal notes. It costs $5, okay? And a Canadian can apply, okay? As long as the applicant authorizes you as a non-paying representative, you can apply to receive the refusal notes from the embassy. Usually takes a month, max 2, let's say. So if you don't have that, don't reapply blindly. That's what I always suggest. You can reapply, but look at the detailed refusal notes. Maybe it won't be as detailed, but you got to take a look at it. Maybe there was something the applicant missed. Ugona Ebi. Okay, thanks. It's an ECE LMIA from BC. Nice. 60 points in BC PMP will get you a PR. I like it. Ugona. Maureen, Reza, thank you. Is there a time limit on applying to the CBSA? No, there's no time limit. So you can apply anytime. You've got to have their consent form. They have a separate consent form. It's not the standard ATIP, access to information privacy. They've got their own version. You apply online, you literally pay $5 for the refusal reasons, not the supporting application documents, because your applicant probably already has those. And it, IRCC is slow, so you may see 2-3 months. CBSA is a bit better. George Tomasian. Oh, I like that name. Is there priority for Turkish and Syrian PR applications? If you're not from the earthquake hit area, then no, there is no priority. And usually, if you don't have a TRV, like a work permit, study permit, visitor visa in process, it's not as prioritized. The PRs do have to go through specific security checks, international security check, Five Eyes, Interpol, and whatnot. So it is a bit slow. Samvir, thank you, Reza. No problem, Samvir. That's why we're here every Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, which is local time in Toronto, New York, Montreal, Kingston, Ottawa, and Miami. I wish I was in Miami right now, folks. Just kidding. Ria Sharma, last week, my spouse, who is in Canada, contacted the MP and got some updates. My visitor visa application eligibility is passed and criminality is in process. What are the chances of approval? It's a tough one because it's a visitor visa, right? And I guess you've got a sponsorship also under process, Ria, for PR. But again, go back to this live, and I was talking about dual intent. If you get refused, I think you do have a good chance of reapplying, and if you get approved, amazing. It's tough to say because your unique circumstances of the case, I don't know. It depends on the embassy also processing, right? Because each embassy has their own bias, and some are better, some are worse, so I can't really say much. George Tomasian, I applied a spousal sponsorship for my wife. She is from Syria. We now did the biometric, got the eligibility letter. How long will it take to get them to visa to Canada? So the PR usually can take 12 months. As we discussed with Fatima in the chat, it's now stated at 16 months. If you want her to join you quicker, apply for a visitor visa, mention your PR, mention dual intent, but do include that, because of her situation potentially. So she can come in earlier before the PR, potentially. But again, with Syria, it could be that the visitor visa will even take longer. You don't have a lot of options. You literally waiting for the processing times of the PR sponsorship, but at the same time, potentially looking at visitor visa. But again, that region is slow. Bhupinder Nand, hi Reza, I want to join Ingwe. Can you provide me an LMIA? That's Bhupinder. You were already joining us, man. You're on the live every week. Like, I'm thinking maybe you should be like coming in and doing the live for me. Like maybe 1 week me, 1 week you, right? I don't unfortunately provide LMIs for anyone. It would be a conflict of interest, but there's a lot of options out there. You just gotta go and find it. But yeah, you're here every week. You're already part of Ingwe. You don't even need an LMIA. Zishan Khalid, BCPMP PR applied 7th May 2022. When can I expect the COPR applied from Abu Dhabi? Inside Canada would have been faster, Zishan, but you can expect 15 to 18 months easily because you're also dealing with an overseas region which is slower. So there may be London, Abu Dhabi, they may get involved, but you're looking at easy 15 months, easy, if not up to 18 months. Sabri, visitor visa out of Canada to visa spouse, visit spouse with study permit. Last rejection. Reapply immediately. Not fear till I have note and more than one and I have a no fear on note. Yeah, I mean, Sabri, we can't take on the case until we have the refusal notes. Apply under CBSA, okay? They can get it to you within 4 weeks, okay? Everyone needs to see the refusal notes, Sabri. That's the thing. We can't take, I mean, I would love to just take on cases and charge people without knowing what I'm doing, but anyone who knows this industry knows you've got to get the refusal notes before applying. But right now they're approving a lot of Iranians, as you know, through Ankara. So I would, I don't want to lose the time during a special period. I would, you know what, Sabri, take it on to yourself, make an executive decision, reapply, okay? While you wait for the refusal notes. I cannot, like no immigration practitioner should take on the case and say, oh, let's reapply without seeing, because that would be against our professional code of conduct. But I know time is of essence, but I know they're approving certain cases right now for Iranian nationals from the Ankara embassy. So I would say you make the decision, and if you're okay with 2 refusals potentially before you go to the 3rd one, apply now. Make the case a little bit stronger. If you're looking at a letter, it can be a letter from your spouse who's studying, or any, I mean, the letters won't be that much. The letters won't help that much. The key is show your ties to your own country, employment, assets, family, more weight towards ties in your home country, visa, flight ticket to and back, insurance, stay expenses, how much it'll incur for 3 months in Canada, or 2 months, like 1.5 months, because if you're employed, you can't really take 3 months off. Plus, or maybe your work allows you to work remotely. Plus the expense table for your visit. What else? Insurance, money to prove that you can cover it, and anything else. Okay, maybe writing a letter yourself as well, like almost a submission. Okay, so I would say take an executive decision yourself. I cannot take that decision for you, whether to apply quickly, because that time is running out in terms of the opportunity. Bhupinder says, just kidding. Thanks for information provide free of cost. No problem, Bhupinder. It's great to see you. Jonathan Rabidas, thanks for a great help. So she should apply for visa before coming. If she's American citizen, Jonathan, she doesn't need anything. She literally needs a passport and just gets on a plane or car and just arrives. Okay? Or do we need an ETA? No, American citizens are exempt from ETAs, are exempt from visas. Okay? So if she's an actual American citizen, she just comes, man. You just go and come back with her, or you just meet her at the border, you know, go have something to eat, drink, enjoy. Okay? Get the 12 months out of the way if you're doing common law. Okay? George Tomasian, thank you so much, Reza. No problem, George. Sorry I couldn't give you any better news, but usually that region is bad. Spousal sponsorships, though, you know, you got to keep 12 months at least, especially from that region. But although we have seen 8 to 12 months in certain regions, but as they said on their website, like Fatima mentioned, 16 months. So unless 16 months passes for them, it's another day at the office. Zishan Khalid, biometric was completed in August 2022. Since then, no news and still under processing. It is an online by express entry. Express entry. What was the, remind me, Zishan, what was the case? BCPNP. Express entry BCPNP. August. So what are we now? September, October, November, December. Oof. That's not good. Why is it taking so long? If you're in express entry and you applied from express entry, right? That's what I assume. You got the invitation to apply, it triggered the 600 points in your express entry profile. You received an invitation to apply probably within 2 to 4 weeks of that trigger nomination, because you have both PMP draws and general draws. You can participate in both. And then you applied probably within 30 to 60 days with your supporting documents. I would say send a letter And if it's BCPMP, I'm assuming you have an employer in Canada. And what you do is you call the employer, you say, please contact MP and mention the standard processing times for express entry have passed for my PR and work permit from outside Canada. Okay? That's the way to go. Science Scholar. Which course is good for medical students without math, which will become helpful in getting a PR in which college for September intake? Unfortunately, Science Scholar, I don't know which program is good for medical. We do have an education team that could potentially help, but that's out of my, let's say, expertise of knowing exactly which program to take without math, which will help you with PR, and which is in a college. Most programs in college won't help you with PR unless maybe you're in a specific program in a rural community, New Brunswick, and it's a skilled trade or a high demand occupation. Not like for med students who want to continue on. Healthcare is good. So you got to look at occupations that are in demand, study that, go to the communities, rural communities, right? The Rural Northern Immigration Pilot, New Brunswick, these places, you can place a job quickly if you study there in an in-demand occupation, and then they can endorse you. That's the best way to go for PR. Amir Shikari, do you perfect the visitor visa for Iran, which changed to 3-year open? Oh, do you prefer the visitor visa for Iranians, which changed to 3-year open work permit, to be viable till the end of the year? Do you predict? Okay, it's actually available till February next year, Amir. So if you go on the website till February 2024, it's eligible for anyone, Iranian national inside Canada with valid status, to convert to a 3-year open work permit. Okay, so it's not it's stated there. Whether they extend it beyond February next year, I'm not sure. It depends on the situation in the country. But for now, just take it as it is. 12 months, good to go. From the time it was announced, which was March 1st. Zishan Khalid applied under the BCPMP Tech program with a valid job. Yeah, I know Zishan, because if you went through Express Entry BCPMP in one of the tech occupations, right? Maybe system engineer, computer software developer, project manager, systems integrator, who knows? Then it's got to be processed within 6 to 7 to 8 months max. If it's not processed in April, you got to push on your employer to push on their MP, and then within 45 days you'll get an update. You'll actually see progress on your file. Because I'm telling you, these overseas processing centers, they're ridiculous, right? Some of them. Inside Canada is not bad, but then when they try to pass on the confirmation of PR, passport requests, or other communication via those processing centers overseas, it becomes slow. You got to push. End of this month, if you don't see anything, you push the employer. Ugonabi, thanks for the information. Following your has really expanded my knowledge of Canadian immigration. You're a good man. God bless. Thank you, Ugona. I mean, no one person, and I mentioned this to one of our followers earlier today, no one person will know everything about Canadian immigration. So if there's criminality, if there's medical inadmissibility, if there's misrepresentation, everyone has their expertise. Mine, well, it's usually business immigration and investment and LMIAs and B2B work permits, that kind of stuff. But the key is knowing who to go to, right? Because not one person, not me, will know everything about immigration. Just too much to know. And I don't think even IRCC people know everything about immigration. They each have their own little compartmentalized area that they think they know about. Akanesh Yusha, please sir, can you help me apply for a work visa? You do need to be eligible, Akanesh, maybe a genuine offer of employment. Sabri says, God bless you, man. No problem, Sabri. Enjoy your evening. Jonathan Robidas, nice, awesome, thanks a ton. Akanesh, God bless you. Zishan, yes, US have an employer. Marshall Ngufu Longpi. I got my closed work permit refusal and my agent reapplied directly after 2 before my LMI got expired. How is my chance to get approval? It depends on the case, Marshall. If you have to look at the refusal notes, see why you were refused. Did you meet the eligibility criteria of the program? Do you have the documented work experience for the specific NOC code that was offered to you as a job? These are all things that your agent or your representative should be looking at. is a good program. Science Scholar, yes, ECE is a great program. Watch our videos, Science Scholar, that we did about a month ago or more with my colleague Paula. We did an interview. She's studying ECE. We looked at it. We went through the program. It's high demand, not very high paying job, but high demand. And I would highly recommend it, depending on your eligibility. Zishan, in the job is within tech industry. Should I apply for work permit interested as it's already been 11 months in process? Yeah, you do have to apply for work permit, Zishan. That's part of the BCPNP. They will give you a letter of support to apply for work permit while you apply for PR through Express. You have to apply for work permit. There are regulations according to the BCPNP that you have to arrive to work for the employer within a specific time period. And from what I can understand, the person who was doing this for you, please talk to them, because it sounds like you're not on the right track. Amir Shikari, predict. Yes, Amir, got it. Zishan, can I please know what is MP? It's a member of parliament, Zishan. So they are elected government officials as part of parliament for each district, voting district in Canada. So wherever your employer is, they will have a local member of parliament, a federal member, not a provincial, and they have a direct line to IRCC to be able to get updates. They cannot influence decisions or push. They can get an update, but when they get an update, it usually pushes the file up in the IRCC backlog. Yes, Amir, thank you, no problem. Science College, do you know which college is good for ECE? I got overall 6.5, not less than 6, 88%. It depends. So there's a lot of programs and colleges, Science Scholar, across Canada that have the program ECE, right? But it depends on the requirements of the province, right? New Brunswick is pretty good. My colleague who works at Ingwe is studying there right now. So I would say if you need help with admission, we can do it quite quickly for you. And we can recommend schools across Canada if you prefer BC. Ontario maybe, right? So let us know. Hayat Khan says thank you, no problem. Folks, that's it. We've gone past the 1 hour mark. We'll see you next week, Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern time, local time in Toronto, where we answer all of your questions for immigration, or at least we provide general guidance, not case specific, for your Canadian immigration questions. Tune in to our Startup Visa webinar, April 27th as well, 8:30 a.m. And we will see you next week, Thursday. We're here answering your questions. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Bhupinder, Science Scholar. Science Scholar, send us a message to the website or send an email, info@ingwe.ca. Mention you need admission assistance and study permit, and you spoke with me on YouTube, and they'll prioritize. Okay? Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Take care, and good luck in your path to Canada's immigration, whether it's for yourself or your spouse or friends. It's challenging, but it's possible. You got to go through the grind. Thank you very much, folks. Take care.